Let's take a look at converting between data types. And again, I have my my form up here, and I got a button I've dropped on here. So I'll double click the button, and I'm going to declare an integer. I'll declare a D as double, and declare an S as a string. Okay, so to begin with, D I'm going to have equal to 3.12, and S I'm going to have equal to 5. Now I want to assign these to I. So I'm going to say I is equal to D. Now normally, by the way, this isn't acceptable. Having single letters here then really doesn't apply in any situation except for what I'm doing here. I for integer, D for double, S for string. And I got a red squiggly. Something's wrong. It says, let's see, unable to, this allows implicit conversions from double to integer. I got an integer defined here. Integer is a number with no decimals, and I'm trying to put a number with decimals inside that, into the side of that variable. Well, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, we're going to need to do a conversion. You can do a cint. This will convert it to an integer. So let's see what that gives us. Message box I. So the cint will take the value of D, which is 3.12, and then convert it to an I for integer. Well, let's see what it does. If I run this, Avast. I thought I shut that off. Let me shut that off again. Disable till the computer's restarted. Okay. If I click that, it tells me 3. What did it do? Did it round? Did it truncate? Let's change this to 9. Let's run it again. I don't know the answer to this myself. 4. Appears like it rounded, right? Okay, so this cint, when it converts it, it rounds it and then converts it. Now, if you didn't want it to round, you'd have to perform some kind of function on here to truncate off the decimal portion. Now, let's say I want to convert this to string. If I actually type integer dot, and I always have to experiment with these. I don't know why I can't remember this, but there's a parse, converts a string, and there's a try parse. Looks like parse is the one I want because I don't want to return any kind of value. So I want to choose parse and then put an S in here. And then let's do a message box. Okay, so run that. Click our button, we get 4, the first one. Then it says 5. You might say, well, big deal. It was 5 to begin with. These quotes around here means that it was stored in a string. And when it does this conversion, the integer.parse, this converts it to an integer, a number with no decimals, and assigns a value to I. Well, what's it do if I have 5.92? Well, does it round it? Let's see. These I don't always have answers for myself. I will experiment. Input string was not in the correct format. I'm trying to convert it to an integer, and it's 5.92. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. So it could be, instead of converting it to an integer, you need to convert it to a double first, and then convert it to an integer. There's other ways around that. Okay, so that shows you how to take something that's not an integer and convert it to an integer. Let's go the other way now. Let's say integers 3, and this code here converts everything to an integer. The single quote here means a comment. It means it won't run that, but it documents what in the world we're doing. Now here we're going to convert everything to a double. Okay, so if I say D is equal to I is equal to 3, and D is a double, means a number with decimals, and it doesn't give us any kind of error, no red squiggly. It doesn't appear like I have to do a conversion. Well, now let's print the result of that. And I'll go ahead and comment these out so I don't have to keep seeing the results of those. Okay, so run it. Gives me 3. That's what we'd expect. I is equal to 3. I then assigned it to D, so it didn't need any kind of conversion. How about if I did a C, is it double? If I can remember the... let's get rid of that. C, okay, double. And then I want to convert to I. See what that gives us. Should give us the same thing, but I never have tried it. If I click button 1, I get 3 again. So you can use the change to double, and that'll take the value that's in I, which is a 3, and convert it to a double. Down here, if I wanted to, if I did have S as 5.92, and I want to convert that to a double, well, I do S equals. Now, if the above was integer.parse, what do you think we'd want here? Well, double.parse probably. They try to be halfway consistent on these. And then I'm going to convert S. That's if I don't want S, I want D there. Okay, so then we'll do a message box D. Now S contains 5.92, which is a number, but it's got quotes around it, which means it's a string. So this double.parse should convert it to a double and assign the value to D. Okay, so let's run this. Click button 1, it says 3, 5.92. This is all leading into working with the controls over here in our form, because you're going to have a lot of information brought in different formats, specifically a string, and you'll need to convert them to doubles and integers to do your calculations. Sometimes they're just strings. Okay, our next one, we're going to convert everything to a string. Let me comment these out. Okay, so we're going to take what values that's an I and D, and we want to plug them into S. Now, if I just do S is equal to I got I as an integer, and I'm just trying to assign it to S. It gives me error again, says you cannot convert it. Now, if I do I, there's different ways of doing this, but if I do a dot here, there's a toString. This will convert it to a string. So now if I do message box S, I up here was equal to 3. I convert it to a string. When I print it, it should still just look like a 3. And you may say, well, what's the difference? 3 versus 3? Well, there is a difference once you do more with this. Like if you're trying to concatenate it with another part of a string, which we'll talk about later on. But that's how you convert an integer to a string. Now double. If I convert D, well, what do you think I'd do? Well, toString again. Then I'll do message box S. Now D is equal to 3.92, and it'll convert it to a string and assign it to S. But again, it'll just look like 3.92 when I print it. So there's 3, there's 3.92, just what we'd expect. Okay, so let me unhighlight these now. In this video, I showed you how to convert everything to an integer. So whether it's a string or whether it's double, we can convert it to an integer so we can work with it. Here I showed converting everything to a double. Whether it's an integer or string, we can convert it to a double and work with it. And down here, this shows converting an integer and a double to a string. So we can again later on work with it. Now, I don't think that there's nothing else. If I don't know sure if I can do this. See how there's a CDate converts an expression to the date data type. There's C double, double data type. CDEC, the decimal data type. Change to Boolean, change to a byte, change to a character. So there's a lot of different options available here. So once you learn one or two of them, you pretty well have the idea behind the concept behind doing those conversions. So you can do the appropriate conversion.